Alright guys, everything's in the fermenter, it's time to clean up. So really, when I say clean up, I want you to keep in mind that we here at Brew Experience clean for you. All you have to do is get the stuff back to us. So we just have a couple of basic steps to make sure that you're able to pack everything up nice and easily with a limited amount of work. So we're just going to walk through that now. Number one thing though is we're going to disconnect our control box here. We're going to put that back in the case first before anything else gets spilled on it, wet, etc. But we're going to go ahead and unplug everything and kind of go from there. So come along with me. So to start things off, I'm just going to unplug the main power from here, and that's going to kill the power to this. Next, I'm going to unplug my temperature sensor because I don't want to rip that out, and then I'm just going to remove the other plugs here. And they are a tight fit, but that's okay. Next, I'm just going to take this off, and I'm going to put this back inside the box here. So inside the brown box, there is a little eggshell cradle. Just goes face up. That gets wrapped in there. And then we'll just put that back directly in the bin so we don't lose that. Alright. Next we're going to go ahead and disconnect our chiller here. This is kind of the reverse of what we did previously. So our ball valve is open. That's okay for now because nothing's going to be pumped through it. There's no power to it, we can leave it open. I'm just going to go ahead and twist this off. And now this is nice and cool, I'm going to go ahead and grab the lower part here, just to give myself a little bit more leverage, and I'll twist that off. Now again, when I twist that off, and pull up on it, and that is there. This is already there. And then for the other tubes, I'm just going to bring them inside, and I'm just going to wrap them up a little bit. Alright, we're going to take this part, we're just going to set it back over on our mat here until we're ready to put it away. Just going to make sure nothing's dripping off that. Looks good. Set that down there. Next, again, keep in mind stuff can be warm, so just do the touch test. If it's beyond your capabilities of touching with naked hands, use your hot pads. I'm going to set this off to the side for a minute. Next thing I'm going to do is I am going to grab the hot pads because I'm going to take out the hop spider, and this will be hot, so I do want you to be careful and just use precautions. I'm going to set this back on the mat. I'm going to go ahead and take the lid. I'm just going to take the lid over here on the mat as well. And then, if you look in here, there's going to be a little bit of liquid left. That's what the pump couldn't pick up. It was below the pickup point. What I'd like you to do is just to dump that. It's very sticky, so wherever you're going to dump it, make sure it's something that can be rinsed down. You don't want to dump that in your yard or on the driveway or anything like that, because it will attract animals, bugs, anything else. It's just think of it like dissolved honey. It's going to be super, super sticky. So I would recommend a bathtub that can be rinsed out of, a stationary tub, a toilet if you don't have the other options, just flush it a couple times, but just make sure that you're able to rinse that down. So we're going to go ahead and dump that now. So this is what it's going to look like when it's done. So it's pretty nasty in there still, don't worry about it, that's the part I get to clean. But it is relatively empty. It doesn't need to be perfectly dry, don't worry about that. So we'll go ahead and set that back down here. And the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to put the grain basket back in here. You don't necessarily need the handle. The handle's helpful. I'm going to go ahead and use it so I don't smash my fingers, but it's not hot anymore. So I'm going to set that right here for a minute, because what I want you to do is I'm going to ask that you dump the grains out of here. So I go ahead and set it here. That's what the grain bucket's for. You can dump these directly into the grain bucket, but a couple of things first. One, we want to remove this. Otherwise it ends up in your compost pile. Next, we're going to remove the upper grain screen. So just reach down in here, and I'm going to pull it out by the little tabs here, and everything's nice and cool now. It's been resting for a while. Set that over here. And then the next thing I'm going to pull up is the overflow pipe. Again, also ends up in your compost pile more often than not. So we're going to take that out as well. And then what's left is all our spent grain. So I'm just going to dump that directly into the bucket here. And that's how it should look when it's all done. Now I'm going to actually put this back into the brewing system here. Slide that down. Alright, next I'm going to put the overflow pipe back on. And then when the overflow pipe's back on, that's kind of my center post. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put the counterflow chiller back into the brewing system here. Now remember, it's kind of that spaghetti mess of cords and cables and everything. So when I lift it up, I'm going to put my hot side down, and that's just clean water coming out of there, but everything's wet and sticky. I'm just going to set this back down in there. And again, it doesn't have to be nice. It doesn't even have to be perfect. Just drop it in there. As long as it's in there and it comes back to me, that's all you need to worry about. Goes right over the center post. The hoses go back in there. Next, I'm going to take my grain screen and my overflow fitting. First, I'm going to put my grain screen back in. Put my overflow fitting back in there. Grab my grain stopper. I'm just going to drop that right down the center tube there. And I'm going to take my recirculation pipe, put that on top. My handle. Don't need to necessarily put it in, just get it in there. I'm going to put my lid right back on top here. Next, I'm going to take my clips. Now with the clips, I'm going to pull up on the spring release here, and I'm just going to let it go. Don't crank down on these. It could potentially crack the glass, break something in here, or break the tip. I just want to kind of hold on to there to hold the lid on just like that. I'm going to do one on the back too. You can do the others, it's not necessary, but if you want to do all four, that's fine. But again, we want to make sure that we're not pushing down on these because that puts too much pressure on that glass lid. Lastly, what I'm going to do here with the main unit is I'm just going to take these cords, I'm just going to tuck them inside the sides here. So they're not hanging out loose. And now I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it off to the side. And we're onto the grain bucket. With the grain bucket, so these are your spent grains. Now you can take your spent grains, they're great for compost. If you want to do something with them, make some funky beer bread, make dog treats, if you got cattle or something, go for it. Otherwise, I'd be happy to take it back and put it in my own compost pile here at the brewery. All you need to do, take your grain bucket lid, go ahead and snap that on, and set that off to the side. All right, next we're into our pitcher that still has our sanitizer in it. Again, the sanitizer can go down any drink, any drain. It's more or less inert. It's not going to hurt anything. It's septic safe, etc. So just go ahead and dump that. I'm going to go over here and dump this in the sink. I'll be right back. So now that we've dumped the sanitizer out of the pitcher, one of the handy dandy little things here is this will fit right down inside the pitcher. We'll just sit that in there, and this goes right back in the bin. And that's all you have to do with it. Our stir paddle, we're going to throw that back in the bin. And then these are your scissors. These are my scissors. You probably have your own if you needed them for anything. And we set this off to the side. This is our sparge water heater. The only thing we really need to do here is kind of manage the cord a little bit. The way that I like to do that is just kind of wrap it around once, and it kind of hooks through nicely right there. And we'll set that off to the side also. We're going to take our hot pads. Hot pads go in the bin. The mat. If you want to shake this off and sweep it up, you're welcome to. Otherwise, honestly, just roll it up. I'll take care of it. So just roll that up. Go ahead and throw that in your bin as well. Next, we'll go to the table here. Table breaks down the same way that it's set up. We'll break that down in a minute. For as far as cords go, the most important thing I get back is the power cord. The rest of it, I'd like back. The most important thing you get back is this, though. I'm just going to make sure that makes it into the bin first, and then I'll worry about the other cords. Again, I'm wrapping it up. You don't even have to wrap it up. Honestly, just chuck it in the bin. Same thing here for our inline GFCI circuit and our extension cord. Just go ahead and wrap those up, toss them in the back. Now everything's wrapped up in our bin. Our last step really is we're going to set this on. Press that down. Make sure it all fits. And grab our 2 bottles of water. So if you have a little bit of water left over, it's distilled water. I don't need it back. I don't really want it back. So feel free to pour it down a drain, water your plants with it, water your garden. You can even drink it if you like. It's perfectly clean. So just to break it down, it's the opposite of setting up. Pinch those together. Slide that one in. Same on the other side. Rings up. got a nice little carry handle here and you can move it down. All right. So everything we have here is what showed up at your house. I'd like all of it back. All you need to keep are going to be those bottles and the fermenter. In 2 weeks, we're going to get ready to bottle, so make sure to watch that video at that time. Thanks for using Brew Day Experience. It's been a lot of fun.